Hey guys, this is Nicolette here. I know I don't really post on this channel much, and I've really wanted to do this video for a while about 25 things I learned about from being 25. And I usually post on my other business channel, but I really wanted to get this out because I've learned so many things from being 25 that I would really like to share with you guys. So I can't believe I'm going to be 26 tomorrow. Like, my 20s flew by. It's insane. Like, really believe I was 21, 22 just the other day. I feel like as soon as you leave college, time goes by so quickly. It's insane. So, yeah, I just wanted to come on and share with you these 25 things that I've learned about being 25. So, yeah, I can't wait to share this video with you guys, and I hope you learn from it. Don't talk about your goals to people. Show them your goals. So I think this is a very important rule, and I've been learning a lot this year that sometimes people that even though you think you could trust them and you're really close, it's still not good to share every single goal that you have, because people have their own minds, they have their own opinions, and they could like try and bring you down, like, because they see things from their perspective. So I think it's best just to show people and not talk so much, because it's not like I don't think they're purposely trying to bring you down, but you know, like, the words that come out of people's mouth, they don't realize how it has an impact on other people. So I just believe that you just need to go after your goals. You don't have to keep completely quiet about them, but just share very minimal information about it and show them when you become a success. So guys, self-care doesn't just mean taking care of your skin, taking care of your hair, taking care of your body. It also has to do with being mentally, like taking care of yourself, and spiritually if you have a certain religion or spirituality. So what I mean by that, say mentally, you have to learn what type of things help you when you're feeling down. So say for instance, you're very upset, you've been crying a lot. What makes you feel good? Do you want to take a walk? Do you want to listen to music? Do you want to talk to a family member, hang out with a pet? You have to find certain things that would make you feel good physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You really are like your first priority in life, because I believe that if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people. What good are you to other people if you don't take care of your own priorities? So never feel guilty for doing what's best for you, what's right for you. Just stand firm in what you believe in and go after whatever makes you feel good. So I'm not sure what religion you guys are. I'm not a religious person, but I do believe in having an honest and open communication with God. Religion was instilled in me when I was little, but after God spoke to me in 2012, I made the decision that having a relationship with God is much more important than just following rules when you're not fully understanding what those rules are and why they're being taught to you. So I do spend a lot of time with God lately. I have to have time with Him in the morning before I do anything, do my prayers. I talk to Him, just tell Him whatever's on my mind. I thank Him for what He's done, think about what He's going to do for me the next day. I read like a chapter in the Bible and really reflect on what it's trying to teach me. So with COVID, I haven't really been able to go to church, but watch on TV, you know, just talk about, have Bible studies with families. I read Bible plans on my phone. And yeah, I spend as much time with God, because I realize even though I may not be feeling it at the moment, when things come crumbling down in my life, I realize I need to have God, because without God, everything is going to be just a total disaster. So I don't know what religion you have, but I'm not trying to force mine on you, but I just realized that life is so much better when you put God first. He knows what you want, and He will make sure you have it once you make time for Him. So I do believe in going at your own speed. I know it's so much easier said than done. Like, I'm always comparing myself to other people. No, this person had a baby at this age. This person's getting married. This person drove. This person had a boyfriend at such a young age, and I haven't. Like, but I don't know, you just have to do things at your own speed, because at the end of the day, all you're really making happy is yourself. That's the only person's happiness you're responsible for. And sometimes I like to be productive during the day because it gives me something to do. It gives me something to focus all my energy and time on, and that my emotions don't go wild and out of proportion. But you don't have to be busy all the time, where I realize. Like, I would feel guilty if I'd just be like, oh, I don't feel like doing anything today except laying in bed or watching or listening to music. But resting really does help you perform better. So don't feel guilty for not being busy one day, for just not being productive. And whatever you do, always remember to go at your own speed. And don't let anyone rush you with their timelines. This one may seem very simple. There are new things. Um, yeah, it's just what could you say about learning new things? It's a lot easier said than done. I believe in doing things that you actually want to learn how to do, and not just for the sake of doing it. So a few things I've learned this year are learning how to cook better, to bake better, to clean better, because my goal is to move out in about 2 to 4 years, hopefully 2 years. So I just want to be able to provide for myself. And yeah, so I mean, new things could be like anything. Like, think of things that you've been putting off and you're like, oh, I'll do it later. Like, why do it later when you could do it now? And having so much free time on my hands lately has really taught me that, there's no time like the present. You're never too old to learn a new skill, regardless of what anyone says. So, challenge yourself. That's what life's about. To love yourself and be yourself always is something that I feel is very crucial to getting through life. Um, I've heard this saying so many times about how nobody's gonna love you unless you love yourself. And I was like, why? Like, why do you need to love yourself first before other people love you? Like, can't people just make that decision on their own? But I'm realizing a lot this year, I have realized that it really is important. I'm not gonna say people aren't going to love you if you don't love yourself. But I think that when you show confidence that you love yourself, there is something about you that really shines, and people want to get to know you even more than they would if you didn't love yourself. Like, not to be cruel, but I mean, like, either way, people would love you. But what I'm saying is, when you show that you love yourself, not in a healthy way, not a conceited way, and you show that through not your words, but just your personality, your style, like, there is something drawn to you. Like, people are drawn to people who are happy and positive and comfortable in their own skin. And of course, that leads to the next point about being yourself always. I know this is something that's taught at an early age, especially through adolescence and middle school, high school, all the pressure to be somebody that you're not. But I feel like in early adulthood, like 20s and 30s, like, that's when people really start to take it into effect, because they're like, we're not going to be around forever. Even though we're still young, we won't be around forever. Who are these people that we're trying to impress? Like, if you really think about it, these people that you're trying so hard to impress may not even love themselves. And why are we trying so hard to please them when they have such low self-esteem? Like, there's nothing superior about that. We're all about them. Like, we're all equal to each other. So there's no reason why we should be trying to, like, fight for someone's attention. And being yourself is just so relaxing. And the more you be yourself, the more you learn to love yourself. So those two really go hand in hand. So find your personal style, but don't spend too much time trying to find yourself. So the first one is very important, because what I've realized is, like, after high school and college, when there's like so much pressure to be somebody you're not. Like, I feel like after I finished college, it was just like a whoa period. Like, who am I? Like, I thought I knew who I was back then, but now I'm realizing when all that pressure to be act a certain way is taken off of you, it's like it's kind of like you go through a new period where you try to find yourself or who you truly are, and not because of who you're expected to be like. So ever since I finished college, or especially this year, I've really been like experimenting with my personal style. I've been trying new hairstyles. I'm going to be trying a new hair color for my birthday, which I'm excited about. What else have I been doing? I've been finding new ways to do makeup. I've been really experimenting with my style when it comes to clothing. I feel like your 20s are an experimental period because you're figuring out who you really are, like I said, like apart from the crowd, like no longer trying to impress people, but really who am I? Like if somebody didn't tell me to act a certain way, who would I be? So I feel like that's one of the main goals in your 20s to try and figure out. But what I've also realized this year is that it's so important not to spend too much time trying to find yourself. Like the internet and the media, they're always like, oh, you have to find yourself, you have to do soul searching, all of that. And I do feel like it's important, but to do that, but it's so important to not do it too much. Like you need to give yourself a break. If you do it too much, it confuses you, and when you become confused, you become anxious, and sometimes that leads to depression. So make sure you set aside time to find yourself, but don't do it too much. Like it's okay. You don't need to have all the answers right now. Self exploration takes time, and that's okay. So don't rely on others. Get things done yourself. That's a very important rule. Um, there are things in life that we have to rely on others to get done. But what I tell myself is if this is something that I believe I am capable or more than capable of doing, don't rely on that person because that person isn't always going to be here. And one day you'll be out on your own. You need to know how to do this certain thing or things because you just have to. We're going to be on your own one day, or at least that's what I'm planning on doing. So, yeah, I mean, it increases your confidence when you do things on your own. I know that for a fact. And I believe that when we're constantly waiting on somebody to do things for us, it kind of puts pressure on that person. And sometimes pressure leads to that person not doing it. I have certain experiences, which I'm not going to talk about on here, where I relied on someone so much that it decreased my confidence and it kind of like put them on a pedestal. Like, oh, you can't do this without me. And you never want to put that much pressure or like put somebody on a pedestal that much. So doing things yourself is really the best way to learn. I absolutely love this because I consider myself a little introverted, not a whole lot, but a little bit. So this is something that I've been learning to do for a while now, but what I've realized more in my 20s is that spending time alone, like, and being able to enjoy my own company is more than just staying in my bedroom, like looking through Instagram or writing. Like, I could do things outside by myself and also enjoy myself's company. So there's nothing wrong with eating by yourself in a restaurant. I know we're not able to do that now, but before I've realized like there's nothing wrong with that. Like even in college, I would enjoy it. Like there's like you don't meet up with people all the time. You have different schedules. There's nothing wrong with just sitting down, eating by yourself, going for a walk, going to the city by yourself. Like again, this is just a whole learning process. You have to learn to enjoy your own company because when you're by yourself, there's all this time to explore what you like, what you dislike, and you really need to know yourself before you can know other people. So there's nothing wrong with enjoying your company. It doesn't make you a loner, it doesn't make you a loser. Just make sure you don't do it too much, but really take advantage of that time you have to yourself. So I'm the type of person who enjoys many things. There's many things that I would like to accomplish in my life, but what I've realized is you could be the type of person who has it all, who has everything that they've ever wanted in life, but the key to that is to do it in moderation. So you can't have too much of one thing, but you must learn to balance everything out. So say for example, you might really enjoy your alone time, but too much alone time can lead to sadness. So you have to make sure to also have time with family and friends. And too much time with that also can make you exhausted. So you must also have time alone. You see what I'm saying? So let me see some other examples. Like I am a documentary filmmaker and I really enjoy working on projects like that. But I must realize I can't do it too much. There's other things fighting for my attention. I'm trying to look for a job. I'm trying to get close to certain people. I'm trying to look for a boyfriend eventually. So I'm exercising, you know, like there's so many things that are battling for my attention, that are fighting for my attention, and I can't just ignore one thing or do one thing too much, because you just have to learn to balance everything out. I believe balancing everything out and not doing too much of one thing could really help you achieve your goals better. So getting back to like spirituality, I've thought about it at some points in my life, like earlier in my 20s when somebody was really pissing me off, when I believed that that person should have got what they deserved. Like, you know, you don't think to tell God to make someone's life miserable, because most people who have a even a somewhat understanding of God know that like God gives us all good things, and that we can't go to him for selfish reasons or like to make someone's life miserable, because that's not the type of God we serve. So just don't do it. This is what I would consider something that it kind of, I didn't learn it all right away, but it kind of came in stages, like gradually. So yeah, like there are people in life who we're gonna look up to. We're gonna admire them. They inspire us to better ourselves, but never get too attached to them. Two reasons. One reason is you're not learning to live your own life. Like when we become attached to somebody who we really admire, we start to become like them, and that's kind of like taking away our individuality, and we're obsessing over them so much we forget to learn to live our real life. And another reason is because we're putting a tremendous amount of pressure on them to like be there for us all the time. Like rely on them to make us happy, and then say one day they're having a bad day or they can't answer your phone call right away and because they're busy, and then you just go crazy on them. And then like we don't want to put that much pressure on someone. You like really think about it. You wouldn't want somebody to put that much pressure on you. Like, you know, we're all human, we all mess up. No matter how perfect we may seem to somebody, in reality we're really not. So just don't become attached to them. Like live your own life. They're gonna be there. If they're meant to be in your life, they'll be there. But just don't, for your own sake and for their sake, don't do it. Don't become too attached to them. So last year I got a job at Chick-fil-A, and I was very grateful for it because it was difficult for me to get a job, but um it still wasn't like my ideal job, but I'm proud of myself because I stuck it out for longer than I have jobs in the past. But then when this pandemic, I was looking for another job, but right before this pandemic hit, and I got that job, but due to everything, I wasn't able to start right away. It was a job in a school, and I'm still unable to get that job because, you know, there's still certain restrictions going on. So I became kind of down on myself because I felt like, oh, you know, I'm finally like out there with people. Like my confidence in interacting with people, like people who I like acquaintances, not even acquaintances, like strangers. Like I probably never see this person again, but I was able to have like a good conversation with them. So I was really excited and proud of myself. And then as soon as this hit, it's like I felt like my confidence started to lack. I was kind of getting anxious around people again, even people who I was close to and who knew forever. I started like getting really anxious and insecure about everything I'd say around them. But what I realized is even though this pandemic hit us pretty hard, we still were able to like go outside and live our lives. You know, we could still, the essential workers, we could go out to a grocery store, still interact with people. So to this point about getting out the house more, because I believe the best way, not only does it affect you physically, but also mentally, because you could still have like so many ways to interact with people that you can't do like inside your house. So even though I'm like a homebody in a way, and I don't really like to get out of my house a whole lot, even like a simple walk around the neighborhood and you like make eye contact with someone and say hello, like that's helping you. That's improving your social skills. So I notice the more time I spend indoors, the more anxious I am when I have to go out and see people again. So getting out the house and having just small interactions with people really does help your self-esteem. So, if you have ever studied psychology like I have, you will remember something about positive stimuli and negative stimuli. And I believe that if you want to change a bad habit or just improve yourself in any way, it's really best to tell yourself what you should do rather than what you shouldn't do. So, for instance, say you want to improve your eating habits, instead of telling yourself, don't eat ice cream, tell yourself, eat fruit, eat more fruit, eat ice cream less. So you see, it's more positive. Instead of telling yourself what you shouldn't do, you're now telling yourself what you should do. And I believe our minds do react better to positive stimuli rather than negative stimuli. So I've been doing that a whole lot, and I realize it really does make a difference. Like, if you want to make a change for the better, tell yourself what you should do, not what you shouldn't do. Life is about taking chances, and you'll never know unless you try. Like, I really would, in a way, like, have more regrets than what ifs. Like, and like when we get older and we have stories to tell, we would love to tell our children and grandchildren about all the crazy things we did in our youth, because, it gives you something to smile about when you're feeling down. Like, you don't want to remember the moments when you were just living your everyday life, where you weren't just coming out of your comfort zone, where you were just routine after routine. And I love routine, but sometimes, like, you have to switch it up a bit. You'll never know what you're missing out on unless you try and you come out of your comfort zone. So taking chances, like, there are risks involved, but I believe that anything, like, worthwhile, like, you just have to take the chance for it. Like, I would rather, as I said, I'd rather have happy memories than sad memories, or just ones where I was like, oh, I'm just doing the same thing, I don't know, I'm just doing the same thing over and over. Like, you have to take chances. So the 5 by 5 rule is, I don't know who made this up, but what I've heard online is, if it isn't going to matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes upset by it. So I really enjoy this rule because, like, life really is too short to be upset over things that really don't matter. And you know how many hours or days that you're, like, wasting just worrying about something or being upset, and it's just easier to let it go. And I think whoever came up with that rule said 5 minutes, because, like, it's okay to get upset over things, and sometimes you have to let it out a little bit, but you can't. If I also heard something else that said, if you cried over something before, don't cry about it again. And I mean, I know things upset us, but, like, let it out, but just, you have to release it. Like, life really is too short to be upset. I feel like people my age, around that my age group, we're getting to that age where people want to know that we're aware of what's going on, and that we pay attention to what's going on in the world today, and that we have some other type of conversation to have other than just ourselves. Like, I feel like it's starting to get played out now. Like, nobody cares about you all the time and, like, what you ate for breakfast and what you did with your friends, but they want to know that you could have a good conversation about something that matters, especially if you're, like, hanging around a lot of older people, like, say, your parents, friends, and grandparents. Like, they want to know that they can have an intelligent conversation with us. And it's not just about conversation, but just for our own, like, gain. We want to, it's just good to know what's going on in the world. And it just shows your priorities, like, that you could think of someone else other than yourself. We can't miss out on life just because we're waiting for one thing to happen, because time is precious. Time is something that's very valuable, and if we just sit around waiting for that one thing to happen, we're missing out on so many other amazing things that could be happening. And when we get what we want, if we ever get it, I want to be positive, so when we get it, we'll, like, look back on all the time that was wasted, because, like, we know that things are important to us. I believe God knows things are important to us, but He doesn't want us to miss out on our lives, the rest of our lives, just because we're waiting on Him to give it to us. Like, we have to make room for everything else in your life, like I said in the other questions, in the other points. So, there are people in our lives sometimes who we've shared a lot of history together, we have many memories together, but then as time goes on, we go into different directions, and sometimes that person, like, we can take with us. And it's nothing that, it doesn't always have to be because they said something that upsets you or you wanted to purposely end your relationship with them. But sometimes, like, we grow up, we become different people, and sometimes you don't have things in common, the same things in common with that person that you did 20 years ago. Like, we grow up, you know? So relationships are a two-way street. So if you don't feel a connection with someone anymore and you don't feel like they're reaching out or making any effort to be in your life, then, like, let them go. You don't have to wait until, like, they're stressing you out, or they don't have to, like, say something terrible for you in order to just move on. Like, you know, people grow apart and that's okay. That's life. Not everyone's meant to be in our life forever. And it's best to keep people in your life who are actually contributing, and also contributing in a good way. You want all positive people, no one that's toxic in your life. So I know this saying is very common. I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times. Social media is not real life. You have to stay off the internet. But I'm realizing how true that really is. Like, just as it's easy to be inspired by people, it's also easy to be envious and compare ourselves to others. And I mean, like, what you see on social media really is just highlights and all the positive things going on in people's lives. Like, do you really think people want to sit down and, like, make you think that their life is a disaster or see all the ugly sides to them? Like, no. And I know that you wouldn't want to do the same too, especially if it's a public page and it's not something just for friends and family. So what I do whenever I feel this way is, lately I've been monitoring my time on social media. So if it's something for my business and I feel I'm contributing, I have no time limit for that. I do it whenever. But if it's my personal page, I do it, like, no more than 10 minutes at a time, for maybe no more than 2 times, or maybe three at most, but usually 2 times, no more than 2 times a day, for more than 10 minutes. Because it's easy to compare ourselves to these people, you know? Like, they make it seem like their life is so perfect, but it's not. Like, they could be feeling just as insecure as you are and use social media as, like, an escape, you know, like, to make people think that everything is great in their lives, but it's really not. So just keep remembering that and really monitor your time on social media and monitor what you're doing on there. It is important to realize that when people give you advice, they're only talking from their own point of view or their experience. You don't have to take the advice, and I don't think that the person will hold it against you if you decide to do something different other than what they're saying. Because, like, and especially, like, say if you take their advice and something goes wrong, like, they know, they feel like you're going to blame them, and you don't want that. So I mean, if it's good advice and you feel like it will work out for you, go for it. But if you have something else in mind and you've been planning out another way that would make you feel more at ease about the situation, then go for it. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel like you're gonna hurt their feelings. You know, in the end, we really have to be responsible for our own happiness. So advice is optional. You could take it or leave it. Don't feel guilty either way. Either way, it's going to work out. Everything is going to be fine. So this rule I really like because this is something all year I've really been thinking about, especially since I've been making new connections with people, with family and new friends. And I don't know, like, I'm a type of person that I feel like, in a way, I have, like, an anxious attachment toward people. Like, I feel like I do something wrong. Like, if you don't text me, like, not every day, but say less than you have been, then I'm like, oh gosh, what did I do wrong? That sort of thing. And I know it's nothing personal. Like, people have their lives. Like, we all have our own lives. When, like, none of us is really the center of anyone's life unless, like, you're a child or your parents, like something like that. But besides that, we all have our own lives. We all have our own immediate people that we have to take care of, and it's nothing personal if communication with someone kind of, like, dwindles off a little bit. Like, I know in the beginning, when you first make a new relationship with someone, whether it's a family member, friends, boyfriend, girlfriend, there's usually a lot of interaction, and that's usually because, you know, it's all new. We're excited to meet this person and know more about them and to do things with them and share about ourselves and all of that. But then as time goes on, I think maybe when you have more trust with that person and you know they're always going to be there, you don't need that constant communication because you know, oh, they're just busy, they're just doing something, you know, they're doing something important. I used to get anxious and think, oh, like, do you not want to be my friend anymore? Do you not want to be close to me? But no, I could switch that thought around, and maybe I'd say something positive, like, it's not that they're losing interest in me, but maybe they're just secure enough in our relationship to know that they don't have to always text me to see how I'm doing. They don't have to call to check up. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with doing those things, but just know you don't need constant communication to know that somebody is there and that they care about you, and you don't need to prove the same thing to other people. You know, trust is the main thing, is the main factor in any type of relationship. And trust is more of a feeling you have deep inside your heart. You don't have to constantly show it to people to know that you care. This is one of my favorite points that I've pointed out because it's so true. And this is something that my mom actually pointed out to me maybe about a few months ago, because she knows, like, I'm so overwhelmed with, like, all the things I feel like I need to do. Like, I don't have my license yet. I feel like I have to think about having kids. Not anytime soon, but pretty soon, maybe. And I'd like to get married one day. I don't know. Like, I have all these, like, I have my business that's just now starting up, and it really becomes overwhelming. And my mom asked me one day, she's like, do you really want to do these things, or is it just that you feel like everyone else is doing it, or you feel like you have to, like adults, as they say? Because, like, life is not supposed to be just a checklist. Like, I did that, I got my degree, I raised a family, I could drive, whatever it is that you feel like is necessary for growing up. Yeah, like, you really have to ask yourself, do I want to do this for me? Or is it more of just a checklist, just to show people and to prove to myself that I'm a successful adult, or if you're not an adult, a successful person? Like, really ask yourself, will doing this make me happy, or am I trying to please other people? This sounds very cliche, but it's so true. And this whole virus made me really realize the importance of having people in your life. Like, you know, it's quality over quantity, like they say, but you still have to make sure and that the relationships with those people who you want in your life are growing and being successful. You don't want to just, like, take them for granted. You want to strengthen those relationships and spend as much time with those people, because life is so short. Nobody ever expected that something like this would happen, where we're, like, on lockdown for months, interaction with people is limited. So I really realize, like, I don't have to do it all the time, but I realized I need to increase the amount of time I spend with my loved ones. So, like I said, as I said before, I'm, like, sort of an introvert in a way. So I like to spend a lot of time in my room, just writing, thinking about what God told me to do, trying to plan out my life, be on my phone, daydreaming. But it's like, I have to remind myself every now and then, like, go out and check on your mom, see if she wants to do anything, if she wants to spend time with you. Go and check on your aunt, you know. She's in her own room too in the house, doing her own thing. But it's always good to see how she's doing. Go call your friend one day, you know, give them a surprise visit if you know they're home. Like, just simple things like that. Don't take people for granted. That's what I've learned this year. This one is pretty hard for me to follow because I'm a perfectionist and I really like giving people a great first impression of me. So I try to make myself look or seem as flawless as possible. Just, it's not like anything with conceit, but I don't know. I just want people to have a good impression of me and to see me in a good light. I've always been that way. So what I've also realized about this is that you can't be perfect. Like, not only can you not be perfect, but it's okay to show others your flaws. Like, I've been doing a lot of research like on social media with other influencers because like this is mostly has to do with my business, not so much with my personal life. But I want people to have like a good image of me, like as a Christian woman doing the right thing, someone who doesn't stumble on their words. But it's okay because like what I've realized, whether in business, social media, in real life, whatever it is that people are more at ease with you when you're yourself and when you show your flaws, when you indirectly show your flaws to people, because it makes you seem more approachable. Like people could relate to you more. They see you as human and not somebody who's like way up here. So just it's okay to show your flaws to people. Show all sides of yourself. This is something that I haven't fully achieved, but I'm slowly getting there. So that concludes the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed myself. It was fun. I spent a lot of time thinking and videotaping and editing this. I hope you learned something from it. And let me know in the comment section below what piece of advice that I've given you has that you've tried before and whether or not it has worked out for you. Then let me know a piece of advice that I've given you that you've yet to try but you're looking forward to trying it. And lastly, tell me a piece of advice that you've learned in your 20s that you'd like to share with the world and to myself. I'm looking forward to turning 26 tomorrow. I'm trying to put the fear behind me, go now with this new wisdom that I have, and walk confidently into through the rest of my 20s and through life.